Hey guys, just wanted to basically have a quick little look at the Mass Effect Andromeda trailer, which came out of E3 recently, and super psyched for this game. Hands down, my number one game series of all time. They told such an amazing story in that game that I completely fell in love with it. And, it's been an extremely long wait for any sort of details about Mass Effect Andromeda, and to finally get a look at it was just so breathtaking. Even though it's an incredibly information light trailer, it's still very nice to see it, and just want to have a bit of a talk about it and my feelings. See how it goes. So yeah, we'll set it from the start, and we're gonna stop it. We're gonna pause and play as we go, and see what we can find.
Our survival as a species has always depended on our drive to seek out the undiscovered, push beyond our limits, and expand the boundaries of our known world.
This is the new ship that seems to be coming in Andromeda. We're not sure of 100% the role it will play, but it definitely seems to be the equivalent of Normandy. And as you can see, it's got a very similar shape on the outside, but with the upturned wings at the back and the extra wings at the front. It's certainly I think, a far more advanced looking ship. It's got a very stylized look to it, and if anything, maybe this is just me, but it actually looks more like a fighter jet than it does sort of the Normandy's more sleek cruise ship design, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the ship is designed for war. It seems very odd, but it does look absolutely gorgeous.
With Mass Effect, we are going further than ever before.
A new look at, or a first look at the new bridge that we're going to have in most likely the Tempest. And so I don't know if that's a glass display at the front, more likely a holographic display, but if that's what we're going to be able to see every time we go to the navigation panel, that is beautiful. That's an absolutely amazing look. Bear in mind, we don't actually know if this is the Tempest. We have no word on if that is the main protagonist or the male protagonist in the front. You've got a Krogan on the left, and a Solarian, sorry, on the right. Complete mental blank on that one. Now, the protagonist that we definitely do see in this trailer at the end is female, so while it's not uncommon for BioWare to occasionally show both male and female protagonists in a trailer, it is somewhat rare. But in saying that, this isn't a trailer. This is more a preview. It is not a launch trailer. It is not a gameplay trailer. This is a developer diary, essentially. It is them showing us some gameplay. So it definitely could be the protagonist. I just don't want to assume 100%.
To Andromeda.
And here we see the back of the Tempest with the upturned wings again, a bit more of this size. This shot, and you can see really how upturned they are. It goes from the bottom of the ship well and truly above it there. Those wings are quite large on something that like that, and I don't know what sort of flying we're going to do. Maybe this is a small indication we might fly around a bit more in gravitational areas. I don't think the Normandy had that sort of problem, so I don't think we'll be able to fly around on planets, but maybe we will get a choice of where we can land on planets, who knows. Be interesting at the very least. The reason why I do say that is you do see a shot of, coming up, I'll show you.
To build a new home for humanity. Imagine distant stars.
There's a lot of speculation about this character, and I think it was GamerMD83 might have been the first person to mention it, at least that I saw. And I believe it was Lady in 70 Ash made some similarity, or tried to make some divide between this guy being dressed in black and the protagonist being dressed in white. And there seems to be some indication that maybe this is some form of villain or bad guy. Not quite sure. I got that feeling as well watching the trailer, not because of his outfit actually, but there was something about the way that they show him in this little gameplay footage where it was very, to me, it seemed very Saren-esque, which I can't put my finger on why. But I remember when Mass Effect 1's first trailers were coming out and you would see Saren and it was almost, in my opinion, they had like an ambiguity to who he was. Was he a hero? Was he a villain? Was he an anti-hero? And the way they sort of tried to portray that, and I don't know, I just get that sort of, I get the image of Saren when I see this guy. I don't think he's going to be Saren, but I wouldn't be shocked to see that he is some kind of at least contentious figure, if not someone who's directly opposed to you, maybe someone even who within the party or within the Andromeda colony, whatever you want to call it, expedition, someone who is maybe political rival in some degree.
systems with remote.
A lot of people were talking about how this seems to be a Yarg, the Shadow Broker race. I don't think it is. It seems to be, the proportions don't seem to be right, in my opinion. It's a bit larger. Its back legs seem to be a bit longer, but its facial features are somewhat similar. I don't think it would be a Yarg, but maybe there's a common ancestry there or something like that. Who knows? And then could just be BioWare wanting to throw some kind of giant stampeding race around, and maybe the Yarg was just where they got their inspiration. Who knows? But I don't think it is actually the Shadow Brokers race.
And hostile planets.
I can't wait to see what that giant flying thing is. I don't think we'll get to ride it. That would be really cool, but I wonder if it's something we can interact with. Not that I'm implying I want to shoot it, but if it is a threat, if it's completely peaceful, if who knows, if it's like a Thresher Maw version of the sky. But one of the reason why I stopped this is if you look down the bottom where you've got this building, I did see some people talking about how it looked like the planets that we were looking at, we were viewing these little areas, were very settled, and that people looked like they'd been there for a little while. I do not get that impression whatsoever. I don't know what they're entirely basing that on. Maybe that's just a feeling they get. Maybe that's like my Saren feeling for that the N7 armored guy. But when I look at this, this is a completely square shape enclosed. In all honesty, you could probably fold it up, turn it into a box, and deploy it as it is, and it'll be ready-made housing. Certainly not something that should be uncommon in a day and age like Mass Effect is based in. So I don't really think this in any way, shape, or form looks like there's any sort of long-standing settlement here. To me, as far as I'm concerned, that sort of encampment should be able to be set up in all of 5 minutes. So that's just the way I feel about it, based on the level of technology. But who knows? Maybe I could definitely be wrong.
Teeming with alien life and civilizations.
Now, a new Asari, definitely very new Asari, with lovely makeup and some very highly detailed facial expressions, just sort of to just move forward a little bit. That shocked look on her face and the way she changes her look, and that is definitely not a gun. It could be some kind of knife or something else, but definitely not a gun coming out of the right side of the screen. But what I do like about this is it's not so overly feminized. It's showing a very different look for the Atari and a very unique look, and I like that. I like that they're bringing new characteristics to the existing races. I don't like seeing them sort of carbon copied from each other, and I can't wait to see what they do with the other races, being Krogan Turians especially. So yeah.
Worlds where adventure.
Just backing up slightly there. This was another one where I believe it was GamerMD was talking about how it looks like it's very settled. Once again, if you look at the way this building is set up, if all those shutters come down and that ramp goes up, to me that's a box that you could compartmentalize on a ship and easily deploy for very easy housing. I don't see this sort of building. It's a very common Mass Effect building. We see this very heavily in all the games, this type of structure. But to me, that's not a structure that you have to stop and build for a long time. It's something that's there. You can certainly get some impression that maybe it's been there for a while because of the bridge, but if you look at the bridge, it's very segmented as well. Like, it's, in all honesty, level of technology, you could probably have that up and running quite easily in a week. Not, and then I'm actually probably overstating it then as well. It shouldn't take too long to build something like this. It is interesting that you see the Normandy, see the Tempest, or at least we assume it's the Tempest. It's a bit hard. We can't. Well, you can. Sorry, I stand corrected. You can see the name on the hole there. So it definitely is the Tempest. It is in screen, so it's obviously somewhere we're going to visit, and it might turn into somewhere we visit regularly. There is some speculation that maybe we will get like a Dragon Age Inquisition sort of system where we take over areas like they did in that, and this is the equivalent of that. Maybe we landed here, we set up a settlement or a research post, and we come back to it regularly. Be interesting to see at the very least.
Where adventure, danger.
We see here a crash site, and this is actually one of the shuttles. You can tell by the front of the shuttle on the bottom right there with the extended hover arms, basically. Or thruster arms, I guess you could say. And I highly doubt that the two members we see on screen were in that crash, because I highly doubt anyone would survive that crash. What is interesting is very far in the background, I don't know if it's just me or where I've paused it, but that does look like a very large structure of some kind. Its shaping doesn't, I couldn't even guess at what it is, but this could imply some kind of maybe planet with more ancient technology. I think I did read somewhere that this was another galaxy we were going to with a previously extinct, extremely civilized race or threat to the galaxy like the Reapers, but not the Reapers. So maybe this is hinting at that. I don't know, but certainly interesting to see how that one plays out.
And the unknown are waiting to be discovered.
I love this. I was when I played Mass Effect 1, I played biotic characters almost purely. I changed it up for Mass Effect 2 and 3 a little bit because so many of the other characters got more fun powers to play as well, but the one thing I really wanted to see them do, especially because of the DLC that came to the multiplayer for Mass Effect, was showing all the cool things they could do with the biotic powers, and to see this being put into place in the Frostbite engine is, I am falling in love with this game, and it hasn't even come out. My hype couldn't be more real. One thing I will point out is in the background you see another similar building, but it is placed on a pad, a landing pad or extension pad at the very least with stairs. Crates in the background, and on the right you can see more crates. So this settlement is either something that is being put up currently, something. I do find it a bit funny we're fighting so close to it, because it does look like a settlement that would be ours. So are we defending a settlement or something more sinister, which I'll get into later? The return of the Mako. How happy I am. One thing I do find a bit odd is look at the speeds that this thing takes off on, and the distances it looks to travel in both this and the next scene.
We've created a universe that you will lose yourself in.
Look at the distance. That is very similar to the sort of sizing that we would see in a Mass Effect 1 gameplay. But the thing they said was it's not the same as Mass Effect 1 and its exploration. They really didn't want to follow on from that same. That's the same implementation of the Mako. A lot of people found the Mako boring. I didn't. I love the Mako, and I think I'm going to love this one a lot more, because this thing looks like it's going to fly. Well, not fly literally, I mean fly as in travel at high speeds, but I can't wait to get my hands on this. I do hope that they have in some way made it a bit more exciting, at least expanded upon it. I'm sure they will, but maybe we can't always land near one of our settlements. Maybe we have multiple settlements on a planet, and this is how we travel between them. I'm not sure yet, but this is definitely some big areas to explore, and you really see this thing traveling at some severe speeds. So very interesting to see what they're going to do with that.
A whole new galaxy for you to explore.
Favorite angry Yarg creature, which seems to be glowing red and dripping green blood. Not even going to try and guess. I do know that some of my favorite YouTubers are calling it a love child between a Yarg and a Pride Demon. Pretty apt description, I've got to be honest. Going back slightly there, we see some kind of structure coming out of the ground. So once again, this could be hinting at some severely powerful ancient civilization, or maybe not, who knows, but definitely some mysteries to uncover in the galaxy. Here we go. I believe that is a female protagonist at the front there. well, we don't know if it's the protagonist, but I would assume it would be, with obviously a Krogan. I like the skin coloring on the Krogan, a very sort of muted low brown with these spikes showing up, maybe a little bit red. Ginger Krogan, why not? Not sure what he's firing at, but I'm loving the style of the armor. It's not the same as the N7. You can see the A on the shoulder, which there's a lot of discussion about what the A stands for. I get a bit of a a bit of a Cerberus vibe from this, but I don't think it obviously is Cerberus armor. But maybe it's because it's white, but I very much get that sort of impression from it. Now, this is one of the more interesting shots, and I highly recommend anyone go watch Gamer MD83's channel for more discussion on this. But as you can see, this appears to be a human being dangled and dropped by a Krogan. It doesn't appear to be the same Krogan in the previous shot. The one thing I will say though is kneeling in front of him, you can see what appears to be that same N7 armored male human, or I'm going to assume human. And it's interesting sort of the way they're standing now. This could be BioWare showing off some of the choices or some of the renegade options we could pick as a male protagonist in the game, or as a protagonist in the game, sorry. I'm sure if this is the male, the female could do it as well. But once again, I don't get a vibe of this being necessarily a player character. I do wonder if there is some contention amongst the humans that have come into the galaxy. Here we see what appears to be Earth and us getting prepared to leave the galaxy. There's been some speculation that this game is based extremely far into the future, in the sense of the ending of Mass Effect 3. I don't think so. For me, I believe that the perfect time for this game to be based is actually just before the ending of the Mass Effect 3, but you can't see any Reapers in the background. So this either needs to take place before the Reapers got to Earth, which is basically between Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, which makes no sense because no one believed the Reapers were coming until they basically got all the political systems getting bogged down in people doubting the Reapers were coming, and then they basically arrived on our doorstep. So I can't really see that being a thing. I I am personally of the impression that it is after the battle, but I don't think it's incredibly far after the battle. And some shuttles. There we go. The gigantic, amazing shot of the arcs. And there's definitely three of them. You could maybe say there's more, but we can easily see three. The one thing I am a bit curious about is these ringed objects that you can see at the back of the main one and sort of towards the front. I don't know if that's maybe some kind of new version of Mass Effect relays, some kind of homemade version, or us building one maybe, I don't know. I don't think they travel via any sort of relay. We definitely see the Tempest arriving, not with a relay, but I find those shapes odd. They don't appear to be part of the ships from what I can see. So they're just, maybe it's the space station, how they're being built, which is always possible, but yeah, very large ships can carry a lot of people. Interesting to note that there are multiple arcs leaving. We don't know how many are actually going to turn up, or if they're even going to turn up at the same time. Once again, GamerMD does an amazing video review of this where she talks about the theories of maybe one of the arcs gets there first and pre-settles up. It's a beautiful theory, you guys should definitely go and watch it, but I'm not sure where I stand on it. It's definitely something to be thinking about. And our protagonist. This is the protagonist, and her name is Ryder. Let me actually go forward a bit more. So, this is the female default protagonist, and as I said, her name is Ryder, or our name is Ryder. And I'm not sure where she's waking up. People want to say stasis pods, it's possible, but she wasn't laying inside of anything. Maybe I just saw that very wrong, but like if I scroll back a little bit, Where are we? She's in it. I don't know if this is necessarily the two same shots. Like, it kind of plays like it definitely is. But look at her legs. She has bent knees in this position, meaning the stasis chamber is either very short and she's able to lay down with her knees over the edge in what must be an incredibly awkward position to go into stasis in, or it's not necessarily the same shot. That I I really can't explain it. I've got no explanation for it. Who knows? But we do see the lights come on. Yeah. I don't necessarily believe that was stasis. I certainly believe she was in stasis to get there. Yes, we made it. And there we go, the Mass Effect Andromeda trailer / developer diary / epic fucking tease, BioWare. But I couldn't be happier to see this game coming, and just can't wait for it. I am severely excited by the possibility of seeing some internal strife, what I'm calling the colonists moving to the new Andromeda galaxy. It makes sense. If any TV show in history or movie industry has told us anything, it's that you put a bunch of people together, they're going to argue. So I could definitely see that happening. And who knows what sort of government or sort of being put in place on these arc ships going out. I don't think it'll be military, based on what we know about the protagonist, or the very little we know about the protagonist. I don't know if they're going to put us in a military ship and send it into a new galaxy. But if they do, that's pretty important, because one thing that should be pretty well stressed is that no one likes living under a military dictatorship. And while you could say this isn't a dictatorship, people would start to rebel against it pretty quickly, unless it was being led by someone like Commander Shepard. Hopefully a very paragon Commander Shepard. I don't know if any one single person would command enough respect amongst the civilian population to get them to fall in line constantly. Certainly the soldiers would be on their side, but I can't see it being a military action. This definitely would have to be a civil action, and I can see there definitely being some contention there, because obviously some form of military is coming. We at least see the N7 armor. N7 armor being special forces of the human minds, basically. So yeah, there's a lot to think about here. Love the new ship, love the Tempest, love the Mako. Graphics are phenomenally gorgeous, and I hope that, I'm not trying to criticize BioWare, but I hope that they got a lot of support and help from DICE, because if we've seen anything from Star Wars Battlefront and also Battlefield 1 that's coming out, those guys really know how to get the most out of their engine in the graphical fidelity and, more importantly, the sound department. So I can't wait to see how far BioWare take this engine. What you can do with it is simply staggering. Dragon Age Inquisition was a nice test run on it, but obviously that was much more grounded. Even though it had magic, it was very on the ground, had a lot of weight to it, whereas this can go in so many different directions, and just dead set hyped for it. For anyone who listened this long, thank you very much. This is my first little time doing this, but I hope it went well, and I hope to do it. Thanks everyone, and hope you all have a lovely day. Bye.